appreciate you having me here. This, I think, Mary, this might have been the very first event I was invited to do after my election. So this has been on my calendar for almost a year now, if you can believe it, and I've been looking forward to it. So it's amazing that this day has come. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mary, for that introduction, and thank you to the Women in Business Organizing Committee for inviting me to be your keynote speaker today. As you can imagine, promoting women is an issue that is near and dear to my heart. And certainly the engagement of women in our political system this last cycle put me on a path that I really hadn't seen for my future, serving as a member of Congress. It's been an honor to serve our country in the U.S. Navy and at the U.S. Attorney's Office, and now in Congress, because throughout my life, I've always felt that sense of duty that I wanted to serve our country. Recently, I was reminded of the importance of continued service at an event that my office held for students who are interested in attending one of our service academies. West Point, the Air Force Academy, the Coast Guard Academy, the Merchant Marine Academy, and of course, for those lucky few, the Naval Academy. At the beginning of our event, Vietnam veterans presented the colors, and it was a moving example to the students, a reminder to them that service doesn't end when you take off your uniform, that we all have a commitment to serve our country and our community and each other. And my own path mirrors some of what the students in our community will experience. For as long as I can remember, I knew that I wanted to fly. I grew up hearing stories from my grandfather about his service as a pilot during World War II in the Army Air Corps, and those stories inspired me. Although when I first told my dad that I wanted to fly, and he said, it's too expensive, you have to go into the military. And I said, okay, I'll go to the academy. He said, I don't know if they take women. And as many of you know, as only a young fifth grader could say, oh, that's fine, I'll figure it out. That kind of confidence is what I think we all want to breed in our children today. I entered the academy when I was 18, and they did in fact take women. And I took my first oath to the country during my bleak summer. I will tell you that my time at the academy was really some of the most formative time in my life. Part of the mission of the Naval Academy is to imbue midshipmen with the highest ideals of duty, honor, and country, and to assume the highest responsibilities of command, citizenship, and government. I learned the importance of teamwork, of preparedness, and trust. I learned what good leadership looks like and what dedication to our country looks like. In my final year at the Academy, we had service selection, where we chose which branch of the Navy we would go into. And I had gone to the Naval Academy to fly, and so as you can imagine, service selection was one of the more nerve-wracking experiences I had. And I received the second to last flight billet in the Navy. A World War II veteran came up to me right after I had done that, and I was still kind of shaky, and he laughed at me, and he said, you see that? You didn't get the last billet. That means you studied too hard. But in addition to my personal excitement, it was also an incredibly exciting time to be at the Academy as a woman. I graduated in the first class of midshipmen where women were eligible for combat roles. And I will tell you what a difference that made, because one of my classmates, Amy Bauerschmidt, has become one of our first admirals and will soon assume command of an aircraft carrier, the first woman to do so. So I went to Pensacola and Corpus Christi for flight training. I went on to serve overseas in Bahrain and Italy, supporting missions during the Kosovo War. And this was all a continuation of my education from the Naval Academy, as I learned how to work with Americans from across the country, from rural Alabama to inner city Detroit, and our allies and partners around the world. I served on the battle watch floor in London during the Iraq invasion, where I worked to gain permission for flyover rights from our partners and move logistics into the Iraqi theater. Some of the best memories I have are from flying, and from my first solo in a T-34 to taking off and seeing the ground disappear in a TH-57, I've flown over the beaches of Normandy, around the Statue of Liberty, and on aircraft carriers, destroyers, and frigates. But my service didn't end when I left the Naval Academy. I decided I wanted to go to law school, and after graduating from Georgetown Law, went to serve in private practice before joining the U.S. Attorney's Office. Again, I saw the importance of leadership, and I also learned about the importance of community engagement and the issues in our criminal justice system. I developed a commitment to criminal justice reform and efforts to better serve our communities, especially our communities of color, which have not been treated equally in our current criminal justice system. That same commitment to serve inspired me to run for office, to make sure that we here in the 11th District have a strong voice in Washington. And you may have noticed I'm not the only woman who felt that way in 2017. So I'm now honored to be part of the most diverse freshman class in the history of our Congress, with some absolutely incredible and strong women. We have CIA officers, a former teacher of the year, a chemical engineer, a pediatrician, and sadly, a mother who lost her son to gun violence. Many of these women, like myself, did not see themselves running for Congress, but they too felt the call to serve and are now advocating for their communities in Washington. This year has, without a doubt, reinforced the importance of the voices of women in the halls of power. That's why I'm honored to be in this room with you, the women business leaders of Morris County. From small businesses to multinational firms, you're not only leaders in your industries, but of course right here in our community. I'm inspired as I go around the district and I learn about how you mentor young women starting out in their careers, engage with students, serve as role models, and use this network to build the next generation of women leaders. We are so lucky to have your example leading the way in Morris County, and so I just want to thank you for your commitment to serve, and I'm looking forward now to continuing our discussion. So thank you all so much for having me.